From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have my monthly co-host, Miss Bridget Willard, with me on our marketing segment, and Bridget's going to talk all about the Moneyball. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by All-in-One WP Migration, the most trusted WordPress migration plugin with over 60 million sites served. Whether you are switching hosts, changing domains, or moving to a new server, All-in-One WP Migration makes it one click. Try it for free at WordPress.org or visit servemass.com for pro features. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my good friend and monthly co-host, Miss Bridget Willard. Hey Bridget, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Beyond the usual health stuff and the circus of my life, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Today you thought we would talk about something you call the money ball, and we dive into that. So, what are you thinking in context of the money ball and marketing? And by the
Okay.
way, hang on a second. But before we go there, I need to put this out there because we're having a conversation, and I'm not going to mention names because I can name 20 of mine, you can name 10 years. Folks, if you're going to bother doing any marketing, two things. One, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And B, consistency matters. So if you don't do consistency, you're not doing number one, and you're not setting yourself up for success. So think about that. Anyway, sorry, Moneyball.
So, story time. You know, Brene Brown's famous quote is that stories are just data with a soul.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love sports movies. I'm really starting to love sports in general. I've always kind of loved sports because it took me a long time to figure out why I love sports so much because
I can tell you
it
why.
seems to be the only venue where excellence is admired.
It's
We
more
don't
than that.
see, well, no, for me,
Yeah.
because
But I'll
I
tell you
don't see excellence being admired in the workplace. For me, I've always believed in excellence. I've always produced excellence, but what it's done for me is produce conflict, jealousy.
Yep. And I'll tell you the reason you like sports, and it's one of the reasons I do. Sports is the ultimate reality show.
Oh yeah.
TSN, the sports network in Canada, for years, their slogan was real life, real drama, real TV. And that just says it all right there. So I think
No, I mean this is funny you bring this up. So I used to date this guy named Marcus, really great guy. And I didn't understand his whole deal with sports, okay? Because he literally lives by the calendar and the schedule of the Titans and the Grizzlies, okay?
He's worse than me.
And fight nights, not UFC, boxing.
Yes.
So I was thinking at the time I was in San Antonio, I was going to go to like chamber things. I needed a plus one, but if there was somebody fighting on that night, I was not going to have a date. So I was like, this isn't really working out. He's a great person. Like, but anyway, I was like, why are you so obsessed with this as far as your calendar? You're retired from the army. You did your whole thing. Like, you have free time. He goes, because Bridget, when I watch sports, I'm watching history happen.
True.
It's true. It's true. And it's a relatable thing that people get. Not everybody watches sports. A lot of people call it sports ball, like my other ex and some other nerd friends of mine. But the thing is that there's a lot of analogies in sports and your work life or your personal life
Hmm.
because so and so has to overcome X in order to achieve Y. And that's something that's deeply American. We believe in the underdog. I just rewatched Rudy. I mean, what a story. I'm
Yep.
not going to go working in some steel factory and then go study after that. I'm definitely not going to like climb through a window to sleep in a
Yeah.
bed in the janitor's office.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not willing to do that. But he was, and he did, and it was amazing. And to this day, no one else has been carried off the field, Notre Dame. However, if you have not seen that movie, go ahead and watch it. So I got laterally promoted to the front. So I manage the cashiers. I'm their supervisor. I report to the front end manager on my at my day job at TJ Maxx, and I get a chance to see things happening in real time, not unlike
Yep.
sports, not unlike a Twitter feed, but you're seeing things happen in real time. And we have these courses we have to take to stay up on everything. And one of the things was the traffic analysis report. So you can like, if you think about it from a financial standpoint, you have the budget and you had what actually happened. And like a
Yep.
CFO is going to go budget, actual, what is before, after, what are the
Hmm.
sales before, after. But for performance, you look at the schedule and then what actually happened, who actually called out, how many people were actually there, how many customers did we actually have. So I started studying this and then I was like, well, what are the cashiers judged on? We're all judged on app penetration, meaning for every 100 customers that we have, 100 transactions, they call it transactions. We should have one yes to apply for the credit card out of 100 transactions. Now it's kind of tricky because one customer can easily have three or four transactions because they'll have a bunch of returns and all this stuff. But that is the report. That is another report that gets printed out monthly. We need to be at 1%. I've been there a couple of months and then I'll drop down. Anything above point 0.5 is kind of like, okay, you're getting there, you're doing it. And then you really don't want to be below a 0.5%. That means you're basically not out. If you're below 25%,
Hmm.
0.25%, not 20, like 0.025,
Yep.
that means you're not asking, right?
But
And
but
it's hard to
here's
babysit everybody, huh?
but here's the thing. I'm gonna stop you. The problem with measurements like this is people, once they figure out the measurements, the smart people work towards the measurements and they don't give a crap about the rest of their job. So if you're
Well,
gonna, well,
stick
hang on, let
around
me
for the
finish.
rest of this podcast, sir,
Yeah,
because I'm just
but
setting it up for the folks at home who don't know what I do on the side at
But
TJ
if you don't,
Maxx.
I know, but if you set stupid numbers, people work towards stupid numbers. And I've seen it, and I've seen it, and I've seen it. So I
So,
know
yes, I
when I was at a major hospital in Toronto on the help desk, we had people that would close calls after 4 minutes and tell the client they had a problem, call back. And
yeah,
they'd
because they don't want to
reopen
ruin their
it and close
numbers.
that because they know what the measurement is. So they all play game. People, there. Goldberg had a theory: tell your staff what the measurements are, and people will work to it. Enough said. So keep going.
Well, let's assume that people want to work toward that. So anyway,
Yeah,
so
right.
I have to measure, we have to have enough coverage for how many transactions we're having per hour, right? But
Mhm.
we also have to have a team that can give us those bats. And so when I was thinking about this, I'm thinking about the high performers in our store, this person, that person, the other person. They can't carry you. And I immediately started thinking about the movie Moneyball, where it's a story of Billy Beane and Paul DePodesta and how they totally changed the Oakland Athletics. The poorest team with the least amount of budget was winning the most amount
Yeah.
of games. And then I started listening to the book many, many, many times. I'm probably going to buy the book and read it again because like this is a subject that really gets me going. So what I did is I made a some index cards, right? With the high volume, high
Yep.
conversion people, 0.75 and above, high volume,
Yep.
50% and above,
Yep.
medium volume, and below and like this. And so I had them all color coded and I made a deck of people and I set them all together and then for that combo I made a card because I was like, let's just see can a high performer carry low performers? The answer is no. We already
Of course
know
not.
this. If you watch those kind of videos where they're talking about your A players and your C players drag down an A player. A players never bring anybody up. It's
That's
human
correct.
behavior. So like this combination of whatever that I don't want to like say people's names, but like that combination that I set up that group of cashiers was gonna get me 0.43%. And no matter what combination I was getting, the bulk of our people were so low performers that I'm like, we have to coach the non-performers
Yeah.
because they're the problem, right?
Of course.
And so do you start trading people? And I made a bunch of suggestions. If this person doesn't improve, let's move them to the floor. Let's coach this person. Who isn't coachable? Who should we trade? Just like Billy Beane,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
now and that I had some good progress with that with my managers, but I'm just for me, I'm too low. I'm not the general manager of the Oakland Athletics. I'm just Bridget. So, I'm nerding out to kind of an audience that really isn't interested or isn't the appropriate audience, right? I'm
Yeah.
not up at the corporate level. I would love to be up at the corporate level, redesigning the training. Like that would be chef's kiss for me, but that's another podcast. So now you go back to marketing. So I'm immersing myself in this data because this is where we need to be. And of course, because of this, we have increased our number of apps. We went from the worst ranking store in District 32 to the best ranking in our district with our new district manager. And we're staying there week to week, month to month, right about one or two. And that there, of course, we get money for that, and it goes toward the break room, employee incentives, and that kind of thing. Like they can buy a popcorn maker or a couch,
Yeah.
and I think we're getting an ice machine actually, which these things don't sound like a lot until you're in South Texas during the summer. And there's no ice. There's no ice in the
Yeah.
break room.
It's
There's
hot.
none of the refrigerators make ice. Okay. So anyway, so like, yes, that I can affect some change, but that's not really my role at that place. But when I'm with my clients, I can to talk about this data from a higher level, like you and I talk.
Yep.
And so what were they doing? What were they measuring before this one super nerd had this paper that the economist Paul DePodesta studied? They were measuring RBIs. They were measuring tools. They were measuring batting average. Almost everybody understands what a batting average is, right? Every time you're at bat and you swing, how many times does your bat make contact with the ball,
Yep.
right?
But
And
it's
it's not a
funny.
foul.
It's funny though when you think about it. In a batting average, we reward people for being 1/3 to 1/4 accurate. But in school, most schools have a 50% and many of them now a 60% pass rate. But how do we reward batters for being 1/3. I do not
Yes,
understand,
and
but
so this is exactly what I was talking about with Natalie Young and Anthony Gonzell on the
yeah,
Examine and Elevate podcast that they had me on just last week. Is we go through school defining 90 to 99 to 100% as success, and pretty much everything else is a degree of failure.
and in a
When the
batting
very
average,
best,
in a
right, when
batting
the very
average,
best is like what? They miss 6 to 7 times out
yeah,
of 10.
the record for batting average is like just over 400. I think it was, if I
Right.
recall, and don't shoot me, folks. I think it was the legendary Ty Cobb around 420 or 412 or so. But that's the point, and and that's what we're rewarding, and that is just
So what we're
astronomical.
rewarding is what we're measuring. Now, from
Yeah,
one standpoint, your whole life until you exit school is teaching you this. You go into the
yeah,
real world and failure is more common than not.
of
The
course.
best, the best, the Hall of Famers, the best people are feeling more than
Mhm.
they're succeeding. But what they
Yep,
are doing is something that the average person isn't doing. They're doing.
yep,
Okay. So
and they're learning from failure. So
they're learning from
fa-
failure, they're preparing.
failures, yeah, and it's teaching them something. And failure is good if it teaches you something to be successful. I mean, everybody legendary has failed at one time or another. Very rarely it happens. Does somebody drop a product that goes viral and they make 5 million bucks? It happens, but the odds of that happening aren't what people think they are. So
Right. And so
yeah.
this is the thing. Um, what is success? Now, if we just stick with baseball, and one of my favorite documentaries of all times is Baseball by Ken and Rick Burns. I think
Mhm.
it's Ken Burns. I always mix them up. Before they changed the rules about using a new ball every time, it was a pitcher's game. And they would spit on it and shake on it and add dust. They had their curveballs, they had their sliders, they had all this stuff. It was a pitcher's game. And after that, it became a hitter's game. And
Yep.
people like to see home runs. So if your business goal is give the general public the opportunity to watch a home run, right?
Yep. Yep.
Then the RBIs and the batting average matter, right? Because you want
Yep.
to see how many home runs they have. But if your goal is to win games so that you can get to the finals, and this is where Moneyball comes in, you have to get on base. And so the analogy to me between hitting home runs and getting on base in social media is going viral.
Yep.
Great, you went viral. It's over as soon as it happened. The guy ran around. He gets to wear the funny jacket. Good job, everybody.
And by the way, let's stop for a minute before you go further. Going viral doesn't always convert to leads, which convert to sale. It just means your video's watched 1 million times. So let's stop right there too.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
So just so there's a better clip of me later.
Yeah.
You either have the home run, which is like a viral tweet,
Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
have getting on base, which is a lead. Now, on social media, to me, that's a DM. I get
Yeah.
almost all of my clients from Twitter. Everybody says, wow, you get your clients from Twitter? And I'm like, yeah. How did you reach out to me? Oh, in your DMs on what? X. Okay. So the thing is, it's like whatever system you're working, you work it. But you've got to remember, like, are we asking the lesson from Moneyball? The lesson from Moneyball, and I highly recommend that if you're building software or anything like that, you're running a business, I would suggest that you read the book, listen to the book, or watch the movie, maybe all of the above, and learn from this because the real theme that affects all business owners is, are we asking the right question?
Yes. Can I expand on that just a bit?
Yes,
I would
please.
I would say, are we asking the right question from the right people? So,
Right.
and by that I mean, if I'm selling a Ferrari and I'm a dealership and I sell Ferraris, there's no point in asking those questions of people that make $30,000 a year because they cannot afford a Ferrari. There is no point in trying to sell baby products to a mother who's got two kids that are 16 and 18. What's so part of this is, if you're in business, not only do you have to ask the right questions, but you have to ask them of the right people. Translation, creating what we call in the business either a customer avatar or a customer profile, whatever buzzword you want to use. And the point I'm making is, you need to do some research. And I'm going to take this one more and say, not only do you have to ask the right question of the right people, you got to write it in, ask it in the right medium. So, for example, if you're selling dance classes to kids 14 to 16, if I'm that dance instructor, I'm posting TikTok videos all day long, not even thinking about it. But I'm not necessarily posting Ferraris on TikTok because people who are selling Ferraris are in a higher business class. Maybe I run those ads on LinkedIn and I target the salary. That's just an example. But the point I'm making is, it's actually, I think you need to take your point and expand it to the other two.
Well, absolutely. So I haven't even, I've only just begun, as Karen Carpenter was saying.
Uh-oh.
Actually, that was a bank theme, just for random trivia.
Yeah.
So getting on base, and why does that matter? And what they found in Moneyball is, it doesn't matter how much you hit. If you can't get on
Yep.
base,
Yep.
you're of no use to us, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's more than just this, and what the institution that they fought against were the old
Yeah.
school scouts.
Yeah, of
And they
course.
were talking about their tools. Can you hit? Can you run? Can you sprint? But those are all in isolated circumstances. And you can take this analogy and apply it to security or anything. Like, I've seen a bunch of tweets lately, I think this week actually, where they're talking about, I tried to test this on my local website, but it didn't work. And then I had to do it in production. Well, yeah, because you're asking computers to talk to each other. It's not going to work on your desktop,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, of course.
There's only so much you can test in a vacuum. And I believe in unit testing. I believe in unit testing, whether it's SOPs or security software.
Yep.
You
Yep.
have
Yep.
to test, what does anybody understand what this is, right? Totally different podcast. But my point is that they had to break through and say it doesn't matter, because and the life lesson Billy Bean had was that he was told by the scouts that he would be this viral great. He was not. He wasn't ready. In his mind, he should have taken his full ride to Stanford and matured. And that
Yep.
happens. You see that a lot in the NBA. You see that a lot in NFL. Well, they'll take people before they're ready. Side note, your brain isn't finished until you're 25 years old.
Yeah, we
So,
know that.
right. So, but these are all connected things. This is the way I think. I think about all these things being exactly connected and super obvious to anybody, but they're not. So that's what I'm saying. So, why do you as a fintech B2B provider want to be on TikTok at all? Why do you want to be dancing on TikTok or being funny on TikTok? If you're in fintech, you want them to trust you, right? You're doing B2B relationships. You're not
You're
trying to
better
get the
off being
consumers to use you.
you're better off being serious if you're in that market, not being
Yes.
funny.
So what is success? What defined success for baseball at the Oakland Athletics before that,
Hmm.
and what defined it after that, totally changed. First, it was all these tools. especially their batting average, their arm, those kinds of things. Then, can you get on base? And then it's, can you get on base no matter what?
Yep.
So, we don't want you bunting, we want you walked. Like, can you as a player sacrifice your own ego so that you can let this pitcher get super tired and walk you? Because walking you gets the same end result as if you had hit a single. You're
Yep.
still on base. The goal is being on base. The goal is getting that demo sign up. So
Yep.
whatever it
Yep.
takes. So if you have to build your stack of many different avenues, you've got to be on LinkedIn, you've got to be on Twitter X, you've got to have demo pages, you've got to have a YouTube channel with tutorials, you have to have case studies. None of these things by themselves are going to be the Babe Ruth. None of these things by themselves are going to be a Rincon. They're not going to do it. It's not going to be Jordan Alvarez. It's not going to do it. You have to have all of them so that every single marketing tactic that you have supports your business goal of
Yep.
being able to win X amount of games so that you can go to the finals.
And let's share one more. Not only do you have to have all of them, but we'll use a sports analogy. You know why Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest hockey players of all time? He works hard.
Well, yeah.
And we have to move that in. So not only do you have to have all of them working, you have to work it hard too. And
Yeah.
that's,
So
I know it's obvious to
no,
some people.
yes. I mean, I'm talking about after you're doing the work and continuing to do the work because
Yeah.
athletes, yeah, they make millions of dollars, but they're also sacrificing their bodies. I just saw that movie Concussion again, and it just
Yep.
blows my mind that we were so, even 20 years ago when that movie came out, we were so oblivious to the effects of your brain and the NFL, right?
And I've seen that one firsthand. I think I might have shared with you. My partner Tiz, before I met her, she tripped over a vacuum hose at home and hit the floor, and that caused a major concussion. And by the way, that was several months off work. It wasn't just you know. So, but the other thing we're saying to people is you need to take care. I've coached amateur sports at a high level. You need to take care of the head. I don't care if it's in business, if it's in sports, if it's in your personal life. Just please, folks, take care of the head, one way or the other.
Yes. I mean, and you translating that could be your mindset. You have to
Yep.
stay focused on your goal, which means you can't be distracted by vibe coding this, that, and the other. Do you really want to save that much like $49, $53 a month from using zero by vibe coding something? Like you want to be responsible for that? To me, I think that's a waste of your time. You need to focus on your products, on your main business, on what brings in money. Because if you're not asking the right question, you're not going to be measuring the right thing.
And it's also going to bite you in the back end because when you vibe code that, the problem with vibe coding is, and I'm going to say this now, and you know where I'm going, it doesn't take security into effect. So, what happens when you vibe coded zero, or you vibe coded your CRM, or worse, you vibe coded your website? And I'm not going to mention a person by name on the show, but there was a well known WordPress influencer who vibe coded their website and said, I'm done with WordPress. Guess what happened within 1 week of that website launching? Take a guess, folks. It was hacked. And then it was like, why? Because somebody ran an AI script against the website. And look what we found. And so vibe coding, so you can use vibe coding as a tool as long as you know coding and know how to lock it down. But you got to,
Right. But what
that's,
I'm saying is like these are distractions. This is what
I
I
know,
see are
I know.
distractions for
I
my
agree.
friends that are building software and trying to sell them. Right.
Yep. Yep.
Building in public, Doesn't mean just hanging out with other founders. It means listening to your customers. Now, I will tell you, Twitter is the best place to see what people are always asking, Twitter and Reddit actually, what product can I use instead of fill in the blank?
Yep. No
You
question.
know, or what I do, dear Opus Clip, what I really want you to be able to do is take 6 URLs from my YouTube
Yeah.
collection
Yeah.
and make them a highlight reel.
Mm.
Thank you, love, Bridget. You know,
And it
like,
it will do it.
no, it won't do it. It doesn't work like that yet.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to do. So if I'm saying that on the internet, who else is saying, I really wish that
Hmm.
X would do Y?
Yep.
They're all there talking about it. So in one way, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You have to get that core team of players that has the highest average of getting you on base. And it didn't stop there. They had to coach and retrain them how to think
Yep.
because a lot of them were having a hard time. Why would you want me to be a first baseman? I'm a catcher. You're not a catcher anymore, dude. Your knees are shot. I'm going to try you out at first base. But we have a first baseman. I mean, there was like so much in like not hostility, but like resistance internally,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
even
Of
from the
course.
players. Like, dude, I pay you X amount of dollars. I say do this, do that. And that wasn't even working. They were still losing, losing, losing. And then they had the coach who was like, I'm not doing this. This is the lineup. I'm going to do the lineup. You're going to stand on my way and we'll be fine. Because I have to get a job when your little Moneyball thing doesn't work out. Right?
Yep. Yep.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's so awesome. But I mean, that's reality. You're going to have internal resistance when you rethink about what the questions you should be asking are, what data supports your actual business goals, how can you actually move the needle in that direction, and what should you actually be measuring? Because impressions may not always be the right thing. Now, I have a
Agreed.
case study where I helped Andrews Wharton. They're a big giant data company. They were acquired, blah 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 blah. They're like Experian, okay? Almost everybody knows Experian. They sell augmented and pen data, that kind of stuff.
Yep. They're a
So
data-driven company. Yep.
yeah, they have data and they'll give you data and they'll make your campaigns and whatnot. Okay. So you take your first party data from your little Appity app that you made everybody sign up for 10% off, and you go get it appended and then they do a direct mail campaign, email campaigns, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I didn't need a lot of impressions. What I needed was engagement. And that's for me, that's why I always like tweets to profile visits. Because if I made that statistic up, because I was like, I don't care how many impressions they are. If they see a tweet and then click my name and then look at my profile, they're more likely to go to my website. My website has the funnel, right? The
Yep.
your website should already be guiding them into your journey or
Yep.
whatever.
No question.
But the point is to get to your website for them to remember bridgetwillard.com. I mean, I've had clients who didn't know t.co was the URL shortener for Twitter back in the day, and then they thought there was nothing coming from Twitter. And we did a case study actually at Thought House, me and Jason Canill, because we built a totally clean URL. It never existed before. And in the year two, when we added social media, we saw the direct traffic rise. Why?
Yep.
Because they
Of course.
already saw us on social media. They remembered the URL and typed it in.
Yep. It makes sense.
We
Um.
actually had a client that said, I don't think the website's working. All I get is phone calls. And I wrote, while I was on a sales call with Jason, I said, how are they finding out the phone number?
Phone number. They're either finding it from the website or Google, one or
They're
the other.
finding it on the website. It wasn't on Google. It was her direct phone number. It was a Google phone number that we had set up just for that to
Yeah.
track. I think that the thing is that marketers are always having to justify
So
their
I I
existence.
I
So
want
they're
to
always having to measure stupid shit, which is a distraction for most business owners because it's not the right data to get to your actual business goal. That's my main point.
Yeah, and I want to stop you there. You said they didn't know where the call was coming. So business owners, there's two things you have to do. One, if you're running a brick and mortar, and I've got a jewelry store, two of my best friends that I do their stuff for, and I have them, everybody that's new, when they walk in the store, they say, "Where did you hear about us? Where did you find our phone number?" It's coming, in their case, it comes from two places. The Google business profile, which is the genius here at work. So I'll go a little bit, or the website, which is the genius here at work. So it's coming from one of two spots. And I always like to know because I happen to know, you know who Michael Kors is, the big national chain. Well, they're in Canada. There's a Michael Kors within 2 kilometers away from their store. Do you know I've got a small independent boutique jewelry store outranking Michael Kors on local search on Google business profiles?
That's pretty
Uh-huh.
amazing.
Yeah, and they have millions of dollars because I happen to know what I'm doing. So that's
Yes.
the other thing. But what I'm trying to teach people is if you're unsure, you got to ask. The other problem, and it's not really what we're talking about, but I was thinking about today. I had Chinese lunch at my favorite Ontario Chinese um, chain today. And on the table, they have a thing with a QR code. And the QR code takes you to their Google business profile link so you can leave a review. And the waitress, who we had really good rapport with the whole meal, came up to me and said, "Rob, she knows my name because it's on the top of my bill, and says, 'Hey, Rob, can you do me a favor? When you're done eating, would you not only write a review, would you mention me by name in that review? Please? Thank you.'" And I'll bet you, because they ask, they get more reviews. So
Oh
as a
yeah, you
business,
have to ask
so
for reviews. I mean, that's
so
like, again, are
so
you
the
asking the right question? Are you finding it
yeah.
out? You have to ask.
So
You
the
have to
point I'm making,
reinforce and you have to keep those records too, right?
yeah, yeah. So the point I'm making is, as a business owner, whether it's reviews or where they found you or anything else, if you're unsure of, ask, 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 rinse and repeat again. And I don't care what it is. And what is it taking a conversation? Hey, where did you find this? Hey, here's a QR code right here. Could you scan it and do the review right now before you leave the store? And even more, not only will you do the review, by the way, are you willing to take 30 more seconds and do a video review and show off that piece of jewelry that you just picked up that we just remodeled for you? And do you want to know how many people do that? So there's a couple women's plus size clothing chains in Canada. One is defunct, but their sister chain is is still running. And one of the things they do is they go to the ladies and they say, every month we'll have a draw. All you got to do is tag yourself with photos of what you're wearing on our Facebook page. And by the way, if that photo is lingerie, we will give you 3 entries into the draw, not one. Uh-huh. How many women do you think they have tagging themselves
Yeah.
in photos who have no, and these are plus size ladies, and we get into all the bodies. And how many women do they have? Tons, because they asked and they incentivized. They made an incentive, and that's the other lesson is if you're asking, also make an incentive. Say to that client on the review, "Hey, if you write the review right now in store and show me you've done it, I'll give you a $5 off coupon the next time, or I'll give you a free bottle of something that cost me $2 to buy." Like making it that people like gifts. They do. Or you see it all the time in restaurants. Oh, if you fill an online review after you've ordered online, we'll give you a free appetizer the next time you order, right?
Yeah.
It's incentive. Make it worth their while to ask the questions because people are busy. End of story,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that's a big deal. Like to me, we could talk about this in a total, we could talk
Yep.
about this for
I,
another hour. I'm super obsessed with these,
mhm.
or give us a review or fill out this survey. It should be 1, 2 pages max. I'm not doing
Yep.
10 pages on your survey.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna go one more. Tim Hortons. You know who they are, right? You know
Yeah.
Canadians. Your friend here is, you know, Canadian, and they are the number one coffee chain in Canada. And every so often, when I get into a Tim Hortons, I have a Tim Hortons points card. And yes, I know they're getting my marketing data, but you know what I'm getting in exchange for that? I'm getting free offers and free coffee out of the deal. So there's
Yeah.
something in it's what the hell's in it for me. And every so often, I got one today. I was there last night grabbing up iced coffee with my son. And they're like, would you write us a review? And not only that, here's a review link. It's good for 48 hours. You complete the review. The next time you come in and ask for a coffee or an iced coffee, we'll give it to you for $1. We'll put the offer in your app. All you gotta do is activate it. It's good for 30 days, and you get what you want for $1. Now, to give you an idea, an extra large coffee is $2.55. An extra large iced coffee is about $4. And they're going to give you that. So I'm sitting here saying, can take 2 minutes and do a review that's going to get me a free coffee or a free iced coffee the next time I walk into my favorite place, right?
Right.
You get what I'm
And
saying?
those those coupons and things like that, I'm always jealous of those because in retail, like that's attribution right there, right?
Yep,
You don't have to worry about where it came from. You already know because you have the code.
yep,
But
yep.
in
Nope, nope,
B2B, it's a little different, so it's
yep,
kind of
yep.
tricky. But
But incentive size stuff. So
mhm.
even in B2B, um, I'll do things like if I'm working with a company on website security, I might say, oh, if you jump at this now, I'll throw this in. And what I'm throwing in, if I sold it on its own, might be a $200 a year offer. But the reality is, I probably have it already. I probably have a deal I've paid for already. So let me give an example. All my web care plans now at our agency include the ability to send an email newsletter to 500 to 1,000 people for free, right in your WordPress dashboard.
That's cool.
Why? It's cool because I already have the lifetime deal that lets me do it. So, what does it cost me to give somebody an offer like that? Nothing.
No, because you want
Nothing.
the customers to stay.
That's right. That's right. So what I'm saying is, even in B2B, you can put incentives out there to get them.
Oh yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, I had one of my favorite B2B clients yesterday because we had been working hard on an emergency. What did this nice client do today, yesterday? They sent me a virtual gift card for my favorite one of Canada's national chicken places and said, after working so hard on our stuff for 2 days, we thought not only would we pay our bill right away, which they did, well, we also thought you deserved dinner on us. Enjoy. Here.
Aw.
Now, there's an incentive, right? B2B.
Yeah.
There's ways to do this.
Oh,
You just got,
100%. 100%. When I was at Evans Roofing, we had
yep,
the salesman for structural materials, Bob Brands. Now, this is
yep,
2001. I still remember his name, Bob Brands,
hmm
because he would stop by the donut place and bring in donuts. And he didn't ignore me, think I was like the receptionist. I was AR and collections. He would talk to me just like he talked to everybody else because he knows, that's how it works. You're loyal to the salesperson more than you're loyal to the product.
yep,
So
yep.
you always have
Oh,
to bring something to that. that.
And that leads to the other thing that you and I talk about, and I talk about other co-hosts, we talk about other people. You're loyal to the salesperson because people do business with those they trust and love. End of story. It doesn't matter. Let's be honest. In the WordPress space, in the security space, many people have the same products. Do I get upset if one of my colleagues takes business? No, I'm actually happy for them because I've got a niche that I know I do well in. So I don't stress over that, right? And the reality of it is being what this comes down to more is be in tune with the game you're playing and how to get better. That's the most important thing. And you and I swear I should be recording phone conversations because a lot of the phone calls you and I have and I have with other people are actually publishable material. Like they
Oh,
lead to
100%.
other discussions. So
Like I
I
figured
think,
I feel like we talked about Moneyball and I had so many more like
yeah,
zingers or
yeah,
whatever
of course.
before. But the thing is like, so but Billy Bean had all those relationships. He called the
Yep,
thing, okay, I'll trade you. Oh, they don't like paying for the sodas? Here, you can have this player and I want the next 3 years of sodas.
yep, yep, yep,
They're like,
yep,
done. So it's about like, what are you willing to give up for me to have this? It doesn't matter why I want it. You don't need to know. I'm working within this stupid
mm,
small budget. And how many people do we know that are in business right now, SaaS companies, bootstrapped? They don't have sweet, sweet Y Combinator money. They're got a second mortgage on their house. Okay? They need
yep,
to moneyball
yep,
this crap, which means optimize every single thing and get
yep,
the most you can out of it,
yep.
which means you need to prioritize your on brand, your branding, and you need to prioritize getting on base, which means for SaaS, signing up for demos.
No, no question. Hey, Bridget, and by the way, before I move on, and if you're a SaaS company and you want somebody to sign up for demo, be smart, have a budget. Say, if you sign up for this demo, we'll send you a $25 Starbucks card. We'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. We'll send you a choice of one. I had one recently I signed up for. They sent me a nice journal book. They gave me choices. What I'm saying is give them an incentive and put the value on the incentive and say, we will give you. And then when the client says to you, no, they're not going to buy, don't say to them, oh, but we gave you something. That's cost doing business. Move on. Because that
Congratulations, you
20,
lowered your tax liability.
yeah, but that $20 you just spend is the best market research you could have done.
I
But
know.
that's
If you ask the right questions and you measure the
questions.
right things.
Yeah, as always, Bridget, be warned, folks, next month, Bridget's going to be back and we're going to do an AMA because I'm into AMA season and I love AMAs. Bridget, if they want you, go on over to your website, hire Bridget. She's gold on what she does. Please do. She'll make it worth your time. And I'm sure she's well worth it. I've had the pleasure over the years. Go buy one of her Warren Lane Natives books. Um, I've written a comment in one and a forward in one, and they're so well written. There's several of them. Go find them. And I need to say thank you for making time today. I appreciate
Of
it. This
course.
is show's been a long time coming. From the great state of Texas, Bridget Willard. From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Rob Cairns. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now. Thanks again to our sponsor, All-in-One WP Migration by ServeMask. Export your entire WordPress site in one click, import it anywhere. No server access needed, no command line, works with every hosting provider. Free on WordPress.org or extension at servemask.com. Very special thank you to Bridget Willard for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. my mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.